Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'm calling the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We have the review of the agenda, please. Dr. Rice?
Yeah, certainly. After we get through the administrative portion of the night's agenda, we do have two presentations. Extremely excited to see students from ELDA as we have our ELDA Spotlight here today. Thank you to Mr. Hall and Mrs. Martin for being here. After that presentation, we'll have bullying presentation, and we'll talk about the district's response and some of the things that we do to address the issue of bullying in the district. After that, items for board discussion. We do have several pieces of policy. As the biennial budget has been passed, we will work on policy specific to that over the next 3 or 4 months. We do have a legislative report tonight where we'll talk about 4 pieces of legislation that were passed in the middle of the night last night, 1 a.m., that do affect school funding. A short Butler Tech, Mr. Kleinfelder assures me of a short Butler Tech report. Opportunity for public comments. After that, we have superintendent's reports and recommendation where we'll look at personnel, talk about updated support staff salary schedules for the 25-26 school year, and look at bus stops for the 25-26 school year, and those will all be block voted. After that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Castater.
Yep, I have 5 items tonight. Items A and B are standard monthly reports, including our cash summary and financial snapshot. We do have 1 donation to approve tonight, and then a renewal of an agreement with Headline Sportswear for athletics, purchasing agreement, uniforms, things like that. And then we are asking for approval this evening for a contract to replace a chiller at Elda Elementary, and that will be done using our permanent improvement funds, not our general fund.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, we call the roll, please.
Yes, Mr. Kleinfelter?
Aye.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Motion passes. Next item is the approval of our minutes. The board members have had an opportunity to look at these ahead of time. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting?
Yes.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we call the roll, please.
Yes, Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelter?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Motion passes. Next item is our ELDA Spotlight.
Yes, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hall to get us started here.
They're a little excited. All right. My name's Adam Hall, principal over at Elda Elementary. I got a bunch of thank yous before we start here. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to present our student council that you see before us. I do want to thank the parents for getting the kids here this evening. They're super excited. They've been practicing throughout the last month, I would say. Just a little background on our student council. Back in late September, every 3rd grader has an opportunity to be on student council. They have to set up presentations. Usually they create posters, some fun sayings, and these are all voted on by their peers. So it's a huge honor in our 4 sections of 3rd grade that these students before you were selected by their own peers. And that's a lot. That's a lot to get up in front of their own classmates and present and come up with different things that they want to do around ELDA to make it a better place. They're going to share some of those things with you. It'll be everything ELDA Student Council tonight. I do want to thank Mrs. Martin, who had to rearrange some of her conferences tonight to be here. She wanted to be here. She chose to do that, so I appreciate her attendance. And I'm going to let her say a few words, and then we'll do some quick introductions, and we'll get right into the presentation. Okay? So, Mrs. Martin, I know you have a couple words to say here.
Can we grab the microphone
Yep.
and have people use the mic? Thank you.
Perfect.
Do you need to use the mic?
Yes,
I can
please.
use my teacher voice. All right, it's truly an honor and privilege to serve as Student Council Chair. We're excited to be here this evening to showcase all the amazing ways these kiddos shine throughout our school community. They're an incredible group of student leaders. They're kind, empathetic, responsible, and such go-getters. and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Finn. Hi, I'm Paisley. Hi, I'm Caroline. I'm Addie. Hi, I'm Harlow. Hi, I'm Nora. Hi, I'm Caleb. Hi, I'm Josie. Hi, I'm Penelope. Hi, I'm Bella. Hi, I'm Milani. Good evening, members of the Board of Education. We are the Student Council leaders from Elda Elementary School. Thank you for inviting us to share how we're helping make Elda an even better place to learn and grow. At Elda, we believe that every student has the power to be a leader. Through Student Council, we set an example by showing kindness, responsibility, respect every day. We help plan Spirit Day, support school events, and encourage our classmates to make good choices. Our goal as student leaders is to help every student feel included and valued. We listen to our classmates' ideas, share them with teachers and staff, and work together to make our school better every day. We strive to be shining examples for our classmates, modeling champ behavior in the classroom, hallways, and playground. We encourage all Elda students to do their best and be their best. We create posters and displays around the school to remind everyone to stay positive, work hard, and show good character. We also help make learning fun. We plan school-wide activities that bring our students together, like assemblies, theme days, and celebrations. These events build school spirit and make everyone proud to be a part of the Elda family. We love helping Mr. Hall with the morning announcements. We help get everyone excited for Spirit Week, Right to Read Week, Kindness Week, and Red Ribbon Week. One of our favorite things about Student Council is helping others. We organize service projects like food drives for the Ram Pantry, kindness challenges, and collections for families in need. These projects remind us that even small actions can make a big difference in someone's life. We honor our veterans for their brave and selfless service at our annual Veterans Day Assembly each November. Every Wednesday, we collect our teachers' recycling bins. Each spring, we help clean up the playground and spruce up the Elda Nature Center. We're proud to keep our school clean, green, and a great place to learn. One of our favorite projects is the Elda Giving Tree in December. Students and staff decorate the tree with socks, gloves, scarves, mittens, and hats to help families in need during the winter.
Thank you for supporting Elda Elementary and for giving students like us the chance to have a voice. We're proud to represent our school, and we'll keep working hard to make Elda a great place to learn, grow, and lead.
Wonderful job. Thank you. Very proud of you.
And thank you guys once again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. We really appreciate that. And students, you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. This would be an opportunity, parents, if you'd like to go ahead and leave with your students. We'll pause here just for a minute to give you an opportunity to do that.
Next on our agenda, we have a second presentation, item B, bullying presentation and the district's response. And to walk us through that presentation is Director of Special Services, Mrs. Becky Morgan.
So thank you for having me this evening. I am going to be sharing some information with the board around the topic of harassment, intimidation, and bullying. I will be just briefly talking about the legal definitions of each of those terms, and then we will talk about our response as a district when we receive a complaint and how we address those complaints. I will share some of the data that I have from previous years as well as current, some of the small changes that we'll be implementing to be more efficient with our data collection, and then I will talk about some of the things that we're doing as a district in our buildings and share some student feedback that we received in a school climate and culture survey that we gave to the student body at Ross High School as well as Ross Middle School. All right. So we can get right into it. The legal definition of bullying is an intentional act exhibited more than once toward another student that both causes mental or physical harm and is sufficiently severe, persistent, or pervasive to create an intimidating, threatening, or abusive educational environment. So one of the important things that I want to just quickly address with bullying is that it's important when we are labeling an incident as a bullying incident that all of those criteria are met. So it has to be intentional, it has to cause mental or physical harm, and has to occur more than once and be sufficiently severe, persistent, and pervasive that it creates that environment for the individual. Harassment and intimidation. Harassment, while often part of the HIB acronym, harassment in a legal sense often refers to conduct based on a protected class. So any protected class, whether that be race, sex, disability, age, that creates a hostile environment. And then intimidation is that reasonable fear of harm or a threatening environment. So one of the key differences between bullying and harassment and intimidation that I want to identify to the board is that harassment and intimidation can occur in one single incident. So there can be a single, it doesn't have that persistent threshold that bullying has. So with harassment and intimidation, that can occur in one single incident. So it would be normal or typical if we were to see more of those incidents than we would bullying, just because of that persistent threshold. And obviously, this impact on our students is significant. So there's academic impacts. So it increases absenteeism for our students, which turns to lower grades, decreased class participation. Obviously, when students aren't feeling safe and comfortable in the classroom setting, they cannot focus on their learning. There's mental and emotional impact, so it leads to higher rates of anxiety, depression, and social isolation, which obviously will affect a student's well-being, and then that physical and safety factor. So if students aren't safe at school or don't feel safe at school, they will avoid school, and that's a major problem that we need to take very seriously. There are four main types of bullying. There's physical, you're hitting, you're kicking, pushing, tripping, intentionally damaging property. There's verbal, name-calling, teasing, taunting, making inappropriate comments, or making threats. Social relational, spreading rumors, intentional exclusion, or public humiliation. And then the ORC explicitly includes cyberbullying, which is the use of electronic means through social media or text to harm. And then there's also sexual harassment that is a whole other can of worms for another presentation under Title IX. I think it's important to consider what is not bullying. So the behaviors that are mentioned on this slide, they are problematic, and of course, as district administrators, we would address these behaviors and provide intervention. But these do not meet the legal HIB definition of harassment, intimidation, or bullying. So single acts of rudeness or meanness, a mutual conflict or argument, disagreement between friends or teammates, simply not liking someone, or a simple exclusion, not choosing a kid on your pickup basketball game at recess, accidental physical contact, things like that, that would not be meeting that definition of bullying. So we collect data through couple different ways. So one of the ways that we do that is through the complaint form. So up until recently, that was a physical form. So one of the things that we have done to make that more accessible to parents, students, our staff is to digitize that form just to make it easier for people to report that to us. There's also referrals. So our district uses Aubrey for a variety of different things. One of those things is for behavior referrals. So anytime a student violates the code of conduct, a staff member can submit a referral that goes straight to the building administrator, and they receive that to begin their investigation. Obviously, any form of a formal or informal report, so an email, phone call, things like that, it doesn't have to just be through that complaint form. We would obviously address any type of report. And then the Safer Ohio School tip line is also available to report those. So this is what that digital form looked like. We still have the form, but like I said, we have digitized it and it is available on our website. So our new website, let me see. Well, we'll get there. So I'll show you where you can locate that form, where the community can see where to find that. This is what an Aubrey behavior referral looks like. So this is just showing what a teacher sees or a staff member sees when they are filling out a referral. So they're indicating the date, the time, the location, the behavior in question, who is it targeted at or directed towards, and any of the pertinent facts and details that are necessary to understand the incident. And then we are also able to go back in our Aubrey referrals and select our response. So how did we respond to that? Whether it was a conference with a principal or a detention or a suspension, we can indicate how that was addressed through Aubrey. So once we receive a complaint, we then begin an investigation, and we use this assessment flow chart, and we reference it often with our district administrators. But this is how we go through that process or begin that process. Bless you. So the first thing is we identify any of the witnesses, any of the victims, the alleged offenders, and we interview them. We collect any statements. Obviously, we would contact the parents at that time, and then if it was a crime or a crime occurred, we would then contact law enforcement. We would take that complaint and we would go through those same criteria that I had mentioned in the legal definition. So we need to make sure, does this meet that criteria for a bullying incident? Was there aggression? Was there some sort of power imbalance, persistence, making sure that it meets all of those thresholds to be a true bullying incident. And if it is, we address it accordingly, and that becomes a reportable incident for us when we complete our civil rights reporting data. So as a district, we have requirements that we must adhere to. We must have a policy that addresses harassment, intimidation, and bullying, which we do, and I'll reference it here on the next slide. We also need to make sure that our staff and students are aware of the policy and know what it says. So we have an obligation to educate on that policy. We must provide staff training around the topic of harassment, intimidation, and bullying, as well as teen dating violence. And then we also have to have some sort of student instruction component. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those things here in a minute. So here is our policy. I just reference it here, but this is available for anyone to see. This is code JFCF is our policy that addresses harassment, intimidation, and bullying. This is just a screenshot of our website. So I had said earlier, we've digitized our complaint form. So if you go to our rossrams.com website and navigate to the About Us tab at the top and then click on Report a Concern, it will take you to our page where they can either fill out that form or they can access the Safer Ohio School tip line to send a report. When they use that tip line, that goes directly to Dr. Rice, the superintendent, where he can then forward that along to the appropriate building so that we can begin that investigation with that flow chart. This is just a screenshot of what that staff training looks like. So this is the actual compliance course that our staff has to complete, and you'll see on Module 4 is where they address the anti-harassment, intimidation, bullying, and teen relationship portion of that training. And in that training, it's really teaching teachers how to know what to look for, the types of bullying that can occur, how to spot dating violence and teen relationship abuse, the consequences of bullying, not just from a behavior standpoint, but the long-lasting impact on people who experience the bullying, and then what we can do about bullying and teen dating violence. And a lot of the training points to things that we are already actively doing and will continue to do, and that's providing the positive behavioral support, making sure that we have curriculum that's teaching students about appropriate behaviors and problem-solving skills and healthy behaviors. This was a list that was compiled by our district, our building principals. So these are just a list. They're not exhaustive, but just a list of prevention programs, and I won't go through every single one for the sake of time, but this is just some of the things that we do as a district to address the topic of bullying. Second step is our social emotional learning curriculum that we use in the elementary grades. In our upper grades, grades 6 through 12, we use a curriculum called Character Strong, and I'll talk a little bit more about Character Strong because I think that it's had a very positive impact on the decrease that we've seen, and so. Here is just a list of lots of different things that we're doing. Council on Child Abuse, those presentations occur in grades K through 6 every year, and it explicitly talks about bullying. So we dedicate the entire month of October to anti-bullying lessons in our elementaries. So just a lot of great things that we're doing to try to address this topic with our students. So getting into some of our numbers. So you will see here, I've gone back to the 22-23 school year up until current. And so some things to consider here is, for one, 25 and 26 is current, so that is a evolving number there. One of the things that you will see is obviously we've had a decrease. So there's been a decrease since the 22-23 school year, and we'll talk about some of those factors that might be contributing to that. One of the things also contributing to that is reporting. So one of the things that we've identified is in the past we have reported we've kind of lumped together all of the reports. So whether it was substantiated or not was counted. We didn't differentiate between those. So moving forward, and when we're posting on the website, there will be 2 different numbers for each of these buildings, a substantiated number and then an actual a report, so that we know how many people are reporting and then how many are actually substantiated as a true bullying or harassment intimidation incident, so that we have that good data to move on. This is our harassment intimidation. Again, you'll see those higher numbers. Like I said earlier, it would stand to reason that we might have more harassment intimidation than we would bullying because of that persistence factor there. But again, you can see that same trend down since the 22-23 school year. This is just some 3-year data. Dr. Rice has received these number of reports in the last 3 years through the Safer Ohio School tip line, so people do use it to reach out to us to let us know if there's an incident going on in a building. So contributing factors to the decrease. One of the big things that we found when we were looking at this data and looking at those numbers, I sat with the principals and asked them, what do we think changed? And one of the big things at the middle school was that cell phones were banned during the 23-24 school year. And as a previous Ross High School assistant principal, I can say myself, most of the issues with bullying, harassment, intimidation had to do with cyberbullying. I can definitely attest to the fact that not having those cell phones during the school day would play a very big factor in that decrease. Cell phones were banned at the high school during the 24-25 school year. So prior to that, students were able to use them during unstructured times in the day. So between classes, during their lunch bell. So that also plays a factor into that decrease. We've also implemented the SEL program of Character Strong at the high school and the middle school. So that has had a positive impact on our buildings as well. And I hate to use the excuse of COVID, but I would be remiss to not say something about our kids coming back after the pandemic. Learning how to be around each other again, interact with each other in appropriate ways, learning how to be in school again, that was hard for them. And not just looking at harassment, intimidation, and bullying, but if you looked at behaviors across the board, in our code of conduct, you would see an increase in all of those during those years following. So the farther we get out from COVID-19, we're starting to see that that's kind of straightening itself out over time. So these are just some screenshots of that Character Strong curriculum that we are utilizing in our buildings in grades 6 through 12. And I just wanted to kind of show the board just a little bit, give them a little bit of an idea of what that looks like. One of the things I really like about this curriculum is that it references our school policy. So it gives them an opportunity for the teacher in the room to put our policy up, and they can talk about it. And see how it applies to their school, their classrooms, their friend groups, things like that. But both the middle school and the high school versions of the Character Strong curriculum have a Bullying 101 session, which is like a 45 to 60-minute session that just explicitly talks about the topic of bullying, how to look for it, how to address it, what to do, hear something, say something, that kind of stuff. All right, so the last thing I wanted to do was just talk a little bit about our climate survey data that we got from our students. So again, this was given to the student bodies at both the high school and the middle school. And I feel like we got a really great response from them. I know you guys have the survey results in front of you as well, but just to kind of summarize through here, our students, the majority of our students had positive responses to say about these statements, feeling like they belong at Ross High School, feeling like students treat each other with respect. The majority of our students feel like there's at least one adult in the school that they can talk to if they need help. The majority of our students feel like their teachers at Ross High School care about their learning and success. They feel like it's a safe place to learn. They feel like rules and expectations are fair and applied consistently to all students. The majority of our students feel proud to be a Ross Ram. They feel enough opportunities are available to them for them to get involved in clubs, sports, and activities. So that was some positive feedback that we got from our high school students. The last two here, if someone's being mean or hurtful to another student, how likely are they to speak up? And then if they saw someone being treated badly, would they know how to get that help? So that was reassuring, and obviously it's not 100%, so there is some work to be done and some action steps that we can take so that we can increase those numbers so that all of our students are feeling good about those. So this is just kind of highlighting those themes that we saw, so their strengths that were identified in there. So there were some narrative parts of the survey so that they could provide us a little bit of their own feedback. But school spirit and pride, community and people, having teachers that care and are supportive, and then having enough sports clubs and activities to be involved in, that was some of the strengths that came out of that survey. And then the climate and culture needs, some of those sub themes were the student-to-student interaction and student-to-student bullying, as well as the student-to-teachers. So that was something that was mentioned several times, as well as some other things with the physical environment, school spirit and events, diversity, food lunch, more chicken nuggets, which, I mean, fair, but... So then looking at the middle school climate survey, same exact questions, but I just wanted to show you guys the same idea. Most of our students agree or strongly agree with these statements about Ross Middle School. And I also want to point out the responses. We had 510 students respond at the middle school, which is an incredible outcome for us. So our teachers did a really good job getting our students to engage in this survey and give us some good data to work with. So those are the same questions there. And top strengths, very similar: kindness, community, and friends. Liking everyone feel like everyone in the school is family. People are kind, welcoming. Teacher and staff support was identified. Trustworthy adults, nice, supportive, and caring. Ross Ram spirit. So a lot of those same themes came out of that survey, and as well as the areas for improvement, we saw some of the same things as well. So this last slide here is just kind of bringing all that together as a synthesis between the two, and you can see on the far right, those are kind of those things there that they identified that they like the most, and then the things that we need to look at improving on. That student-to-student behavior is the single most critical area for improvement across the district, which is something that we'll continue to have conversations about. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions for me?
That's very thorough.
Yeah, I
Thank
had a
you.
question.
Sure.
I'm going to put you on the spotlight now. The data that you collect, the different forms, where do you see most of the information coming in? Is it mostly from teachers or parents that write in letters, or kind of what's your histograph there look like?
Yeah, the majority of our data, I would say, comes from Aubrey, from the teacher referrals. So that's where we're getting most of our referrals, and sometimes or oftentimes that'll come from a student reporting to a teacher and then a teacher completing the referral, or they might see something themselves. So I think that goes back to making sure that our staff is well versed in knowing the difference between bullying versus a non-bullying incident, so that when we do get they know when to make those reports as a true bullying incident. But even if they do, we have teachers who might report it as a bullying incident, and then when district administrators go in to investigate, they might find that it's not, but they don't change that unless they're sure that it's not a bullying incident.
One of the things we've required of our principals and our building administrators this year is to fill out the bullying form. If somebody says bullying, fill out the form. That way we know that that person's being heard. If a parent emails you, email them back the form. That way we know they're having an opportunity to share how they feel. Now, whether it is determined to be bullying or not, we're still going to address poor behavior and bad decisions. But to meet that legal definition, oftentimes people will call right away and say, my son or daughter is being bullied. Well, that other person may have just been a jerk, and we're going to address that. It has to be addressed, but doesn't necessarily meet the legal definition of bullying. But we ask, and because we've identified some gaps in our data, we need to make sure that we're starting with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with the one chart. It showed about 30% of students wouldn't report it even if they saw it.
Yes.
I was kind of surprised. I mean,
Yes.
surprising but not surprising, but I mean, it
Mhm.
really does take, the community, from the administrators, teachers, school boards, to make the right policy to really drive that home, that everybody's speaking up for somebody that can't or won't be.
Yep, absolutely.
Is this the first year you've done that climate survey at the high school and middle school?
Yes, this particular one. Yeah, so in the past, we've used third-party surveys and things like that, like the Panorama, things like that. But this year, we really wanted to create something that was authentic for our district and get that true feedback. So it was the first time that we've put something together that was really tailored to, what do we really want to know from our students. So over time, we've already kind of had discussions about how we might tweak the survey moving forward, but it's something that we just want to keep developing and refining as we go forward so that we can get some good feedback from our students.
Is there a way students know that if they see bullying, they could text a number or something just to say, hey, I heard that or I saw that? I mean, I know you've got the thing on there. But
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we can kind of talk with our building administrators about pushing that out to teachers, especially when they're doing their SEL curriculum during Rambell or when they're doing that Character Strong, but making them aware that that is available on our website and that complaint form can be filled out by anybody. So yeah, we'll definitely take the steps to make sure that information is known to the students as well.
How often are you going to have them complete this survey? I feel like maybe like beginning of year, end of year might be, just to see the progression throughout the year and see how many more people we get on board.
Yes, I definitely would like to do it again in the spring. We report our bullying numbers twice a year, so we'll be reporting them next month, and then we'll report them again in May. So I'd like to kind of do that around the same time, see if we can get that consistent data.
No, actually, I feel like the middle school and high school have very similar responses. Like you said, I think there's room for improvement, and I think just getting kids aware of what bullying is, how to report it, like to your point, I think there's some work to do there, just so kids feel comfortable doing it.
Yep, absolutely.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mrs. Morgan.
Thank you.
Very well
Great
done.
job.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to items for board discussion.
Yes,
Dr. Rice?
Number 7, items for board discussion. We have several pieces of policy, actually 12 pieces of policy that we're going to go over tonight. This will be the first read, so this will be acted upon at the December 20th board meeting. First piece of policy I'd like to review with you is ACG, the Administrative Compensation Guide. This is updating their 25-step salary schedule. It's also changing some language to make it more relative and present in today's world. Policy BF is Board Policy Development and Adoption. Because so many things are coming so quickly from Columbus, this is allowing boards to not have a first reading for a policy that is critical to pass. So if it's something that we absolutely have to have in place now, we could waive that first reading and read it and act on it at the same board meeting. So that's what that policy does. Policy EHC is cybersecurity, House Bill 96. You'll hear me reference that several times. This requires us to adopt a cybersecurity plan that safeguards the district's data, information technology, and information technology resources to ensure availability, confidentiality, and integrity. We're working on that. Policies IGBEA and IGBEAR, the regulation. I feel like we update this one every 6 months. This is the third grade reading guarantee. House Bill 96, again, amends several laws related to this. The revisions now expressively permit a district to incorporate the high-dosage tutoring provided to students on reading improvement and monitoring plans into the students' regular instruction time. So that's the big change with that policy this time. Policies IKE, which is promotion and retention of students, and JED, which is student absences and excuses, and policy JEDA, which is truancy. These are attendance overhauls that were all in House Bill 96. Not to go through because they're quite lengthy. It's removing a lot of what was House Bill 410 from about, 10, 12 years ago. It's removing a lot of those very, very strict requirements and putting some onus back on the schools and the courts to come up with a plan. Now, what the courts will tell you is make sure the county schools are all in alignment and they'll be fine with it. They really don't want anything to do with writing those plans. My concern is what we're seeing from attendance is the state is continuing giving students reasons to be absent from school, but what we have to make sure everyone understands is that every absence counts against attendance. There's no such thing as excused absence or unexcused absence when it comes to the truancy thresholds. So the state will give you 3 religious holidays, still counts against you. The state will give you now release time for driver's ed, still counts against you. There's talk of mental health days for students. Those will still count against you. So, you know, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, give all these reasons why we can be absent, but then penalize the school with chronic absenteeism and truancy. So that's what those policies relate to. Policy JECBB, which is interdistrict open enrollment. This updates to allow military men and women, students with a parent who is active duty member of the armed forces stationed in Ohio to apply for open enrollment in a district that would not otherwise accept open enrollment. So if that were the case, we would have to accept that student. Policy JFCK, use of cell phones and electronic devices. We're ahead of the game on this one. This is, if you remember, about a year ago, we had to have a plan for how to handle cell phones. Now we have to have a plan for not allowing cell phones. So that's what this policy is in 1 year's time. And then JHG, reporting child abuse and mandatory training. This is an update from a policy that came forward a few years ago that said every student and staff member have to have specific training on reporting and noticing, observing, all these sorts of things. Well, in that original policy, it said that the training had to be administered by law enforcement or prosecutor. Guess what? That was really, really difficult to find those people to do those trainings. So this is allowing us now the freedom to find a curriculum to do those trainings. So they've pulled back on that. The last policy I had tonight is KBA, Public's Right to Know. This, again, is from House Bill 96. This modifies the Ohio Revised Code definition of what records are. It includes documents, devices, items. There is a new exception. They talk about calendars. Many of us that use like Google Calendar will have several different calendars. So this gets into the definition of what is a public record. So if I have pick up groceries on my personal calendar that's on my work laptop, that could not be considered a public record, if that makes sense. Very convoluted, but there are much more words about that one than just what I outlined. Are there any questions about those 12 that I went over tonight? And again, we'll act on these in December if there are no objections.
So just to clarify for the audience, just about every month we have policies that due to legislation passed in the Ohio General Assembly or for other reasons, we have to update our policy manual. And we generally give them a first reading, which is tonight. And then the following month, we will vote on whether to change those policies or not. And in most cases, it's something that we have to do, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very rarely do we get a say in it.
Right.
And every 2 years with the biennial budget, and this is the beauty of Ohio, the budget bill changes all of these laws. So if you can explain that to me, I have no idea. But that's where every 2 years you'll see districts are updating 60 different pieces of policy coming from the biennial budget.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rice. Let's move on to our legislative report.
Yeah, I've got a couple I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to pass the baton over to Steve because he's going to be able to explain the issues that just came up this morning. So we'll talk about a couple of them that aren't quite as effective. Ohio Senate Bill 29, which we talked about back in August,
Put your microphone.
came into effect October 24th, and the law was designed to better protect students' information. It's in all the digital learning now. So we have required to ensure all educational technology partners meet the new state requirements for data security and privacy. Major part of the law involves keeping our families informed. Ross is creating a clear resource about the digital tools used in our schools, which allows parents to learn more about the programs we utilize. And finally, the law also sets new limits on how school-issued devices can be monitored. So we're working to ensure that access to student devices is for specific approved educational and safety purposes only. I think the one interesting thing, Eric and I went to the Ohio School Board Conference up in Columbus this past week, and you talk about AI and its ability to help in the classroom or hurt in the classroom, and the data that you submit into AI and the platforms that you use can be illegal. You know, you can't just give students information out. So we have to pick specific platforms that we can use that keeps our students' data private. So I followed up with Bill shortly thereafter. We are covered, just so everybody's here. But it's just interesting, you know, as teachers go through and, you know, we start setting up some curriculum on what we can use. We got to be careful verify that the programs that we use can protect our students' data. And then another one that's a House Bill 57. Governor DeWine just signed that into law, and it requires any public or non-public schools that elect to keep a supply of an overdose reversal drug, adopt a policy regarding it. And once again, kind of to Bill's point, I don't know how this made the same House bill, but it also includes expanded time frames for students to attend release time for religious instruction. So that will become an effective law after being signed. So on January will be the effective date for that. So, but the one that affects everybody sitting in this room a little bit more just passed this morning. I'm going to hand it over to Steve because it's not good news.
Yeah,
But-
so there were four legislative bills essentially that impact or affect property taxes in Ohio. And I'm sure everyone has read about that in the papers over the last several months, and the potential amendment or that's ballot proposal that's coming down the pike to eliminate property taxes completely. So these four that were passed by the Senate last night or early this morning, I think around 1 a.m. is when they finally finished on the Senate floor. This is property tax reform, and then I believe in an effort by the legislature to prevent that elimination provision from being on the ballot. So there are four of them here. A couple of them really don't affect us as we sit here today. But again, just a reminder, these have to go through 3 steps before they come into law. Has to be passed by the House, has to be passed by the Senate, and then Governor DeWine has to sign them. So 2 of those 3 steps have now happened as of last night or early this morning. So these will head to Governor DeWine. The indications that we're hearing are that he is going to approve them and sign them into law. And you know, that would then make this official. So the one that I want to focus on the most here that impacts our district and every public school district across Ohio is House Bill 186. So everyone remembers a couple years ago we received a large increase in property valuation, which increased the amount of property tax dollars that the district received. This bill essentially prevents that from ever happening again. Is that they're not going to allow that valuation and large increase to come to school districts or anyone that's on the 20 mil floor, townships, whoever it might be. So this sets an inflationary rate that the valuation and the property tax increases in a community can't go above whatever that inflationary factor is. That's a big deal for every school district in Ohio. Now, it does generate over billions of dollars of property tax relief that will be sent back to the taxpayers. When you look at it on an individual home basis, though, it gives you a little bit of an idea. These are the numbers I was able to find today online, that for Ross Local Schools, it provides $132.21 of annual property tax savings per $100,000 of home value. So if you have a $350,000 home, you're going to save $38.56 monthly on your property taxes. Which is, yeah, so it's property tax relief going back to the taxpayers. What this does to the school districts across Ohio is a different story. So I'll try to make this small enough so you can see the whole picture here. Okay. So I've sorted this spreadsheet. This is what they call an LSC simulation. This comes from the people at the State House. They put these things together as the laws are being passed to show you the impact that this would have. So I've highlighted all of Butler County here, but Ross specifically in orange. And again, these are the things that happen. Here we are almost a year into, or half a year into a biennium budget, and now we're getting new legislation passed that changes the game for us in terms of the resources that we may have available moving forward. So currently in tax year 25, which is column E right here, we're slated to receive $13.8 million in property taxes from tax year 25. If the current law would have stayed the same, we would have potentially received a little over $16 million in tax year 2026 due to the valuation increase that was being anticipated based on home sale values and things like that. Under the law that Governor DeWine potentially is going to sign, that would drop down to 12.949. So you can see that's an immediate loss for us of almost $1 million in property tax revenue for tax year 26. So not only does it limit what we could potentially be getting, it causes us to lose close to $1 million that year. When you go out to tax year 27, again, this is the number we would receive under the current law, 16.1 million. Now we're going to receive 13,000,002. Again, this, and I'll state it again, this is a simulation. These are not exact numbers. This is the latest simulation that they sent us today after the passage of the bills. So the cumulative total for us over a 2-year period of time, tax year 26 and 27, is about 6.2 million. So that's lost revenue that we would normally receive that we wouldn't receive under this law. And you can see it's not just Ross, it's every public school district in Ohio except for those on the that aren't on the 20 mil floor. So Fairfield and Lakota are not on the 20 mil floor, so they're not receiving any loss of revenue because they're not currently realizing those gains as they come on. But this is, I mean, I've just highlighted Butler County. I can take this and drag it down, and it's every public school district. The districts that are on the 20 mil floor are losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. So you can see, where that kind of heads from there. So again, as we're working through budget processes and things that we're trying to to figure out as a district, this is something that we have to be extremely mindful of. We've heard rumors about this. It's taken a lot of different forms and shapes over the last 6 months since the budget was passed in the summer, but this feels like where the final version is and what's going to impact our district moving forward.
So if you think back to the biennial budget, DeWine vetoed 67 pieces from, he line item vetoed 67 pieces from that biennial budget. He then put a commission together. The commission's recommendations are inside these 4 bills.
Right.
That's why it feels like he's going to sign them, right? Because it was his commission, his chosen commission, his people on there that recommended these changes to these particular things that he vetoed. So that's why there's an assumption that they will pass.
Yeah. And when you look at, just so people can see this too, if you think about this, tax year 27, we would actually collect that money in 2028. So, and think about in 2028, we would actually be receiving less tax money than we are now in property taxes. So 4 years from now, we're still not going to be caught up from where we could potentially be under the current law. And I think everyone knows what's going to happen to expenses over the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, right? They're not going down just because we're getting less money. They're continuing to go up. So that's a challenge for all school districts. I think everyone on this list, I know Hamilton is having community forums tonight. They're cutting $8 million from their budget immediately for next year because they're dealing with this as well. And then, who knows what's going to happen with the state next biennium budget and how that may look in terms of school funding. So this is a huge piece of revenue for us. We bring in about, in our general fund, about $34 million a year in revenue. Property taxes is 13 million of it. So that's a big hit for us moving forward, the way this legislation and this law is written.
So with this change in funding, is this the money that all of these districts are losing, not just us, but all of these districts? Is it being shifted around within the educational funding segment, or is it being shifted to other funding projects in the state of Ohio?
It's going back to the taxpayers. It's going back to the taxpayers.
Every dime of it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And Steve, what's the projection out? Like, is this going to continue for another 2 years? I mean, I know you only got 2, but.
Yeah, in theory, if
forecast.
it's written into law, it's not going to change unless there's another law to change it. So this would, the simulation they've given us is just based on this, but my understanding is that it would continue out unless something else is done differently.
Go 2 more years, you're another $6 million down?
Could be. It just depends on that inflationary factor that they're going to use as the home values go up. What's that number? I mean, we received 39% increase 2 years ago. We're looking at probably a 22% increase that we should have received for 26. So that number is significantly less.
So the fears and concerns we had at the start of the school year are being realized.
Correct.
At this point in time.
Yep.
So, and we still have the possible constitutional amendment that
Right.
looks like it's going to be on the ballot to eliminate property taxes altogether. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
hang on.
Hang on. Yeah. I mean, we've talked for the last several years about the things that are happening. It's in many ways, it is a systematic dismantling of public services and public education. I mean, make no bones about it. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. So this is a piece of it that would, send that in that direction for sure.
Okay. Anything, is that it? Legislative report?
That's it.
Thank you. You guys can bring us some good news
Yeah.
anytime you'd
That
like.
would be nice,
All right, let's move on to the Butler Tech report.
All right, because of the third Tuesday coming after the third Thursday last month, I didn't give one, but October Butler Tech Board meeting was mostly about 125 slideshow of their strategic planning. They had about every central office and different departmental administrators present what their goals were for the year, new things going on, student data from previous years. All of that, if you want to take a look at it, is on the Butler Tech website. You can look at their strategic plan and look at the whole slide deck. So I don't want to bore you with that here. You can get it there. And then this month's meeting was basically a policy meeting. It took about an hour. They went through 36 different policies, most of what was a lot centered around the attendance and cell phones and free absenteeism, and then they had a bunch of stuff because they just finished some negotiations with non-certified people about CDL licenses and cell phone stipends and stuff. So I'm not going to bore you with that, but that was mostly that. And then they are getting ready to plan for their annual holiday dinner where they invite all the former board members and back on December 16th. I think it starts at 4:30. And they're going to expand that a little bit to some other people. They're going to invite legislators, county commissioners, every former board member, et cetera, to come to that. So that's all I have for Butler Tech.
Okay, any questions about the Butler Tech report? Well, hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. We have 6 requests for public comment. Public comment, individuals are limited to 3 minutes of public comment each, and we will limit the total amount of time at 30 minutes, which we shouldn't be close to if we have 6 people with 3 minutes. So let's start.
Yep. First up is Martha Mell.
Hang on, Martha.
Okay. Good evening, school board members and residents that are here this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Martha Mell, and I'm the chairperson of the Ross Community Foundation. Hopefully you've heard of it by now. I'm not sure. Last year when I spoke at this meeting, I covered the history of the RCF and a summary of the grants that were awarded to the schools and communities since the founding of the RCF in March of 2022. The purpose of my visit this evening is to once again review the grants that have been awarded to Ross schools and throughout our communities, and to encourage all board members, including the folks that are here tonight, to think about gifting the foundation. The RCF board consists of 7 voluntary members who work passionately to fulfill our mission, which is to support charitable activities in our communities. Unlike other nonprofits, a community foundation like ours is designed to provide perpetual support by growing contributions, then granting back just part of that growth. Therefore, you have the cycle of give, grow, grant. Give, grow, grant. Since our founding, the RCF has granted $86,533 to nonprofits in our communities. In addition, the RCF has awarded one $2,000 scholarship to a Ross High School graduate for the past 3 years. To date, Ross schools have received a total of $32,632, or 38% of that total $86,000. Let us review the Ross School grants for just 2025. I'll start with the project entitled Ride On, Empowering Young Authors with Writable, submitted by Nicole Green, received $3,000 grant this year and was also awarded grants in 23 and 24 for the same initiative. Jumpstart Summer Band Camp, submitted by Ron Mead, received $3,000 grant this year and was also given grants in 23 and 24 for the camp. Elda Elementary Media Furniture and Book Edition, submitted by Christina King, received $4,200. This was a first-time grant for Elda. FFA Greenhouse Restart received $4,233 grant this year, and this was also a first-time grant. I want to point out that not all grantees receive the full amount of money or grant that they requested. The RCF board makes every effort to stretch our donors' dollars to meet the ever-increasing needs of our community. The balance of grants awarded in 2025 to nonprofits outside the schools range from Ross and Morgan Ministries, Hearts for Hope, Ross Canine Unit, Hopeful Pastures, Fortified Hill, Princess Pop-Up, Morgan Township Community Park, and Friends on a Journey. I have a few requests for the board this evening. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank those board members, those school board members, who have gifted the RCF. God bless you for your generosity. Tonight, I would like to encourage all board members and all residents here tonight to make a gift and join this wonderful organization. We are building our foundation one brick and one person at a time. The RCF board strongly believes that every dollar counts, regardless of level of your income. And so our Community Harvest campaign reflects that philosophy, starting at the melon level and up to the sweet corn level. So don't be left out. Become a piece of produce and join the harvest. I will leave you with the Community Harvest brochure with the hope that you consider gifting now and in the future. And if you've already gifted, maybe be a repeat donor, thus growing the impact RCF will have on our communities. My final request is that you consider supporting the RCF through your gift of tithes and testimonies. These are personal conversations and shared stories coming from each of you are invaluable when supporting a local nonprofit like the Ross Community Foundation. These gifts not only build trust and foster relationships within the community, but they also inspire others to connect with us and to make a gift. Give where you live. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate all the support that you've given our schools and our students.
You're welcome. It's an honor and a privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So become a piece of produce.
All right.
Next, we have Ava Bossy.
Ava Bossy, 3337 Hamilton, New London Road. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ava Bossy, and I am a senior at Ross High School. Tonight, I want to speak about the impact of teachers from the perspective of a student that has grown up in the Ross local school district. Thinking back on my early years of school, I used to be the shy, timid student that would sit in the back of the classroom the whole period. However, year after year, I continue to meet teachers who believe in me. Teachers who took the time to pull me out of my shell little by little. They're the reason I found confidence in myself and eventually confidence in my future. Teachers don't just teach content, they teach people. They teach us, the students, how to become the best version of ourselves, preparing us academically, personally, and morally for what is to come once it's time to graduate and start careers of our own. When I graduate this year, I'll move on to a whole new chapter of my life filled with unknowns. However, one thing I am certain about is that once it's time to settle down with a family of my own, I will do so here, in Ross. I want my future children to experience the same support, encouragement, and opportunity that has shaped me into the person I am. But for that to happen, we have to support the people who make this place what it is. The teachers who have dedicated so much to students like me deserve simply to be valued at the level they pour into us every day. I also want to mention someone who has shown me the heart of teaching from a different angle, my mom. She's a teacher in this district, and growing up watching her has taught me what going above and beyond really means. Year after year, I've seen her support her students, not just as learners, but as human beings. She gives her all, not just because she has to, but because she genuinely cares. And I know countless other teachers throughout this district who do the same thing. I am a strong believer that one of the main things that makes Ross such a great place is its teachers. The impact they have speaks for itself, with students being the proof of it. When our district takes care of its teachers, they are taking care of students. And when students are being properly cared for, so is the future of this community. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next is Angie Kroger.
Good evening. My name is Angie Kroger. I'm at 3058 Rabina Lane. I'm the parent of 2 students in the Ross Local School District. I have been an educator for over 25 years. I teach in one of the largest public schools in the state of Ohio. When my husband and I had children, we looked all over Southwest Ohio for a place to live. Mason, Lakota, Sycamore, Ross. We fell in love with the close-knit and small-town community of Ross. And as a teacher, I was impressed with the high ratings of the school district. In the end, we chose to settle in Ross and have happily lived here for the past 16 years. We had the opportunity to send my children to the large school district that I work for. But my husband and I ultimately chose to send our children to Ross. We loved the small town neighborhood schools and that my children can go to school with their neighborhood friends. This has ultimately been one of the best decisions we've ever made. My children have gone through ELDA, Ross Middle School, and both of my children are currently at Rice High School. We have come across dozens and dozens of excellent teachers during our time at Ross. Mrs. Martin, Mrs. Helms, Mrs. Emmenecker, Mrs. Vining, Mr. Morlock, Mr. Archibald, Mrs. Brosart, Mrs. Ozias, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Wilhelm, Mrs. Roberts, Mrs. Manns, Mr. Raymer. These are only a few of the phenomenal teachers that have made such an impact in my children's lives. It is the teachers who make the Ross School District what it is today. The teachers are the heartbeat of this district. It should not go unnoticed that the reason why Ross is a top-performing school in Butler County is because of the dedicated teachers who show up for our children day after day. Our teachers have been working without a contract this entire school year, yet they show up day after day with a smile on their face for each and one of their students. Since I lived in Ross, the teachers here at Ross have gone through pay freezes as well as years of extremely minimal pay raises. The Ross teachers made this sacrifice with the promise that their loyalty and commitment would be recognized during future negotiations. However, that has not happened. The experienced teachers here at Ross are at the bottom of the pay scale. In fact, in my district, I currently make $20,000 more than a Ross teacher with the same amount of experience and the same amount of education. With inflation, increasing insurance rates, the teachers cannot afford to stay here in Ross, and they're leaving for neighboring districts. If we want to retain the excellent teachers that we have now, we have to remain competitive with both wages and benefits with the neighboring school districts in the area. The community has elected our boards of education into office because we had faith that you were going to lead us in the right direction. However, you have failed us. You have failed the community, you have failed our students, and you have failed one of the most valuable resources, which is our teachers. We demand that our teachers be respected, heard, and supported. Please present them with a fair contract now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Abby Sherwood.
Good evening. My name is Abby Sherwood, 2251 Beechwood Drive. I'm a parent and community member of the Ross Local School District. Last month, I came before you in support of the Ross Education Association and shared my passionate appreciation for our educators and the incredible work that they do in and out of the classroom. My hope, and the hope of many others, was that you all would acknowledge the remarkable effort of our teachers and come to an agreement for a fair and respectable contract. Sadly, that has not happened. So tonight, I want to shed more light on what I believe is fair by sharing some facts with you. A competitive and fair contract to gain and retain its employees should start with a strong base salary to recruit and entice highly performing candidates. But according to the Madeira City Schools public salary survey conducted on the 24-25 school year, which included 30 districts from the Cincinnati area, Ross Local Schools offers not only the lowest base salary of the 30 districts in the survey, but it also remained in the bottom 3 lowest paid districts across the city for the entire duration of their contract. Our neighboring districts, such as Southwest Local Schools, Northwest Local Schools, Fairfield City Schools, Hamilton City Schools, as well as several others in Butler and Hamilton County, were all included in this study. Another component of a competitive and fair contract is a reasonable earning schedule that lasts the entirety of their expected career. Currently, educators are expected to teach 32 years for retirement eligibility. Ross Local Schools stops its salary advancement at year 18, and with an ending salary of $71,460 for those with a bachelor's degree. This leaves 14 years until retirement without advancement. Of our neighboring districts, Ross is the only district to stop its salary steps at year 18. In fact, districts such as Southwest Local continues its salary steps from 18 all the way up to year 30. That is an additional 14.8% or $12,598. Fairfield increases until year 27 with an additional 14.4% or $12,359 until their retirement. Northwest increases up to year 28 with an additional 9% or $7,038 until retirement. This discrepancy equates to the following differences in an ending max salary compared to Ross. Fairfield City School ends at $19,422 more. Hamilton City Schools end at $8,440 more. Northwest Local Schools end at $14,117 more. And Southwest Local ends at $26,197 more. That's an average ending salary of $17,044 more that the educators are earning elsewhere. Further, a few other things grabbed my attention during my research. In 2022, an administration salary was posted that shows the Ross administration has salary steps including years 19 and 20. A human resources secretary here has a salary step advancements all the way to year 25, showing an increase in pay from year 18 to 25 of 25%. In fact, that secretary's starting salary is $22,000 more than a first-year teacher here at Ross. I also discovered an administrative contract for Dr. Rice for the 2023-2027 year that showed an increase in his salary of 10.1%, which is just shy of $15,000 in 5 years. Yet our teachers, last 14 years, get nothing. The Ross Impact Reports state that the district wants to invest in its teachers, but these numbers do not reflect this. These numbers reveal a story of what the community and the Ross Education Association has been questioning during this negotiation period. Our neighboring districts are cherry-picking the finest teachers, offering them tens of thousands of dollars more in competitive compensation. Over the last 5 years alone, 19 teachers have left Ross local schools for these districts for the opportunity to earn better wages. As a parent and a community member, this is very concerning. I want Ross to remain a top-performing district with the finest teachers, but if we continue to offer non-competitive wages, our talented staff will go elsewhere, and the students will suffer. All of you in front of me on this board are either Ross alumni or have worked in the district in the past. This place is your heartbeat. Our educators are our heartbeat. We must be united to retain them and keep them at Ross to continue to be a top-performing school. Our educators need to be respected, heard, and supported. Please present them with a fair contract. Thank you for your time.
Emily Laval.
Hi, I'm Emily Laval, live at 1900 Chapel. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight on behalf of the teachers. I am a daughter of 2 Ross High School graduates, 68 and 69, and I've proudly sent my children through Ross local schools as well. I am currently an elementary teacher in the Wyoming City School District, where I've taught for more than 25 years. As many of you have seen on the publicly shared salary comparisons, Wyoming pay scale has long been more competitive. Although I married a Wyoming high school graduate, when it came to choose where we would raise our children, we both knew Ross was the right place, not only because of the support of our nearby family, but because of the strong community that defines Ross. My mother was a secretary at Morgan Elementary for more than 25 years, and as a child, I grew up knowing the teachers there. They were the people who inspired my love for education and shaped me to be the teacher I am today. When we decided where we were going to send our children, we had Wyoming, Catholic schools, mother-in-law's private school, but we chose Ross because of the teachers. I have 2 very different children. One thrived on an accelerated path. The other needed some individualized support. From the moment they walked into Miss Mel's preschool class at age 3, Ross teachers worked with our family to ensure both of our children received exactly what they needed. Throughout their years here, they were guided, challenged, and encouraged by educators who helped shape who they are today. Unfortunately, some of those very teachers who inspired them had to leave Ross, not because they wanted to, but because the current salary schedule simply isn't sustainable. My children found, for example, a home in the drama programs at Morgan that were started. It was a volunteer teacher that did this for years. That experience impacted my daughter. She came to the high school, and the drama teacher left for another job. She ended up going to Butler Tech to pursue her passion. My son, again, he did find his place here in the band at Ross High School. He had supportive teachers that challenged him, encouraged him, and because of those opportunities of those teachers who believed in him, he now attends the University of Notre Dame studying aerospace engineering. He performs in the Irish Guard and the band and traveled to the national championship last year. Experience is made possible because the teachers at Ross invested in him. Tonight, I ask you to truly consider the teachers' request for a fair and competitive salary schedule. These educators are the reason behind Ross's strong performance scores. They volunteer countless hours. They build relationships with students and families that extend far beyond the classroom. They are the backbone of this district. I personally would have loved to teach here in Ross to give back to the community that raised me, but I simply couldn't afford the pay cut. And I am not alone. Many of my friends who teach here are some of the most dedicated, passionate educators I know. They love Ross. They love their students. They deserve to be compensated in a way that honors their commitment and allows them to stay here. Thank you for listening, and thank you for considering the future of the teachers and the students of Ross Local Schools.
Tony Greco.
Can I state my address again since I did it last time?
You're good. I got you right here.
All right. All right, well, thank you, Board, for letting me speak to you again. So the facts that, according to the Ross Local School District Impact Report, our district is in good place financially, right? So we all know that. That's the facts. For everybody back at home, that's the pay scale we're talking about, and the one in the red is Ross. So just take a look at that, go online. We're the lowest paid performing district, but we're the highest performing across the Butler County, but we're the lowest paid. And that's a fact. And I find it really interesting that you presented on bullying and intimidation, and then the kids from Elda, and I love them, they came and talked about value and how they feel valued as a student. But our teachers do not feel valued as educators. We have over 150 teachers, and they deserve a fair contract. I'm not going to go into the data about being five-star district. We all know that. But I read the Journal News that the REA filed an unfair labor practice complaint, which goes along with like intimidation, trying to bullying our teachers to do something that they don't want to do. So they filed with the State Employment Relations Board, alleging that the Ross Board violated Ohio law. And then I went ahead and looked at some more research that Dr. Rice, you said our teachers are now faced with a very important decision. I actually don't think they are at all. I think you are. I'm just really disgusted with what's going on here. Teachers took a pay freeze in 2010, 2013, contract including all steps. In 2021, there was a 0% raise. 2022, 2% raise. And 2023, and a 1% raise. This comes nowhere close to closing the gap. You took an enormous raise to come here. Amy, I like you. You went to Butler Tech. You would never come back here if the salary that you're making. But I don't even want to really talk about that. Ava, you are going to be amazing, Ava. I'm worried about our teachers striking. Does this board want to push our teachers to strike? Imagine, see, I'm a principal at CPS. I did high school, middle school, and elementary. This winter in November and December, we have the DIBELS benchmark, we have MAP testing, we have EOCs for graduation, we have semester exams, we have the reading improvement plans that Dr. Rice said it has to be implemented. Could you imagine if the teachers don't show up soon because the board doesn't respect them? As a principal, aren't you middle school principal? Imagine if your staff don't show up. That 159, what if they don't show up? I don't know what they're going to do. I know what I would do. I wouldn't show up. You have got to have some common sense on this board. We are fiscally responsible. We have the purse now to take care of them. And you won't do it? You're going to push them to strike. Mr. Young, I mean, I like you so much, but you're old school. This REA is not old school anymore. They have been over for the years. My wife teaches for the district. They've settled with you. They've listened to your broken promises. But there's something special about this REA staff. They are stronger than I've ever seen before. Meet them. Give them a fair contract. Give them what they deserve. I don't understand what you guys are doing. I don't understand it. Can you please explain to me why you won't give them a fair contract? I don't get it. Students, I hope your teachers don't strike. I hope the board don't push them to stand out there and fight for what they deserve. Imagine just coming to school and no one being there to help you. Not that they don't want to, because they're standing up for what they believe in, for what they deserve. So for all the families out there, please email Dr. Rice, please email the board to give them a fair contract, because I couldn't imagine if they don't I couldn't imagine if they push them to strike. Could you imagine the headlines in the news? Ross teachers strike because they're not found that they're respected, that they don't understand that how hard they work for you? Come on, you got to come on. They deserve a fair contract. They deserve to be heard, and they deserve to be respected. And for the new board members, I would not want this blood on your hands at all if you push our teachers to strike. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is our superintendent's reports and recommendations.
Yes, I have several items underneath superintendent's reports and recommendations. We'll start with employment. We have initial employment. We have change of employment, no resignations, supplemental stipends, percussion, math council. Item letter B, updated support staff salary schedules, moving them to a 25-step salary schedule with base increases. Subject C is the 2025-26 bus stops. That's all I have under items for reports and recommendations.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendations?
Motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
A second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, we call the roll, please.
Yes, Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelter?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Okay, move on to the treasurer's reports and recommendations.
Yep, 5 items, letters A through E. We'd like to block all of those together for one vote.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
There's a motion to approve the treasurer's recommendations. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Kleinfelter?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. Okay, the motion passes. Do we have any other board committee reports?
We had a meeting last week, but everything we covered last week was covered in our legislative report. Talked about finances and some of the impacts. Obviously, we're going to have to go back and readjust the 5-year forecast to see what that loss of income is going to be, because that is going to be, it's not going to be pretty.
Nope, it's not going to be pretty.
So, well, it'll be pretty.
Okay.
Facilities has not met recently, so no report tonight.
Okay. Anyone else have anything this evening? Okay, hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we call the roll, please.
Yes, Mr. Gunther?
Yes.
Mr. Beckman?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelter?
Absolutely.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here.